Are you a farmer or butcher ready to master direct-to-consumer marketing and meat success? Then you're in the right place. I'm Jared Hawken, the founder of ChopLocal. Each episode of this podcast features interviews with farmers and butchers who have built successful direct-to-consumer meat businesses, and they're going to share their secrets for success with you. From actionable tips to inspiring stories, this podcast has ingredients you will need to succeed in the meat business. After the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social. And check out the rest of our educational resources at ChopLocalUniversity.com. Now, let's turn it over to my business partner, Katie, to get started.
Before we get into this next episode, I wanted to let you know about one of our other resources that we offer. If you are in a hurry to see meat marketing results fast, then the Meat Commerce Essentials course is perfect for you. It covers everything that you need to know to sell meat online successfully, and it's presented in short video snippets to get you the info that you need to put into action as quickly as possible. For a limited time, we're offering our podcast listeners $100 off the course using coupon code POD100. That's POD100. Just visit ChopLocalUniversity.com to find the course and be sure to enter POD100 at checkout. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Meat Success Podcast. It is officially our first episode of 2026, and so I'm Katie Altoff. I'm the co-founder of ChopLocal and ChopLocal University, and I'm joined here today with Sierra Long, who is our marketing specialist at ChopLocal. Thanks for popping on with me, Sierra.
Thanks for having me today. I'm excited to talk through some marketing stuff for 2026.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of internal conversations. You know, the holidays are really busy for ChopLocal and for our meat vendors because meat makes such a great gift, and it also is like the centerpiece of the holiday table a lot of times. And so November and December have been really busy for us, but kind of you and I have talked about once shipping ended around December 15th, it was like we could kind of take a breath and start thinking about marketing for 2026. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today has come out of those internal conversations. We've also been talking about ways that we can continue to provide education to farmers, ranchers, and butcher shops selling direct to consumer. And I think you and I both, you know, when we're on social media or when we're looking at different farms, ranches, butcher shops, we're looking to see what part of their marketing is working. And we're also kind of going, maybe that didn't hit just the right way that it should. And so I'm excited in this conversation. We are going to get into what we feel are the trends, what's in and what's out in meat marketing in 2026. Okay. And I want to start out by saying this is what we're seeing right now. We are going to touch on AI, and it would not surprise me if things change by the end of 2026, but just right now, we're going to talk about our thoughts there too. But before we get into the AI discussion, let's talk a little bit about authenticity and behind the scenes content on social media. You're our social media guru, Sierra, so tell me like kind of your thoughts around these trends.
Sure. Well, I think what is so entertaining about social media and what brings us to social media is really just the authenticity and connecting with other people. And so for me, what authenticity really means is showcasing people on social media. And I think as brands, I see a lot of people struggle with that, and the fact that maybe as a small business owner, you are a little shy and timid and don't always want to put yourself out there and be in front of the camera, and instead you show a lot of your products and maybe you use social graphics a lot. But I definitely think in 2026, lifestyle content is trending and is also just being utilized by brands, not just as user-generated content and influencer type of content, but purely brand content as well. And so something that Katie and I have been talking about is how important it is that we showcase people on our social media platforms. And in the past, we've done that a lot with our ChopLocal vendors, and I love highlighting our ChopLocal vendors on our platforms, but we're definitely challenging ourselves this this year to showcase the team behind ChopLocal, and that kind of includes myself, and showing more behind the scenes content of what we're doing, as well as our really great vendors and farmers and ranchers and butcher shops on ChopLocal. And so that's kind of like how I feel about authenticity and kind of how we're going to implement that this year.
I don't know if you saw it already, but just a few minutes ago before we hopped on here, I posted an Instagram story to ChopLocal University, and I said, like, that is one of our goals. You and I discussed it in our weekly meeting on Monday, to hold each other accountable and try to not just like show behind the scenes, but even show our faces more. I have a marketing client that I'm working with right now. He's a rancher in Texas, and he has a big personality, which is really fun. He does a great job of doing like selfie videos and showing his face, and it makes him so relatable. And it comes through, like when he gets reviews, they say, I love working with Jeff. I love getting to know Jeff. I love having Jeff be my personal rancher, And so I think that is something that it's been important in social media, but I think it's going to continue to become even more important, because on the flip side of that, we've got AI coming in, and a lot of people are using AI in social media. We're seeing AI text, we're seeing AI images, we're seeing AI graphics and logos created by AI. And I hesitate, because I feel like when we start talking about AI, people are going to be like, do they like it or don't they? You know what I mean? Because you and I, Sierra, we definitely like use AI, and we like it in some ways, but one of the ways that I think it is not where it needs to be yet, so I would say out for 2026, is using AI for photos or graphics. I've just seen so many tiny mistakes in the photos and the graphics, especially when it comes to people and food. I was testing out an AI tool earlier that could take a photo and turn it into a video, and maybe you've seen that type of tool. But when I tested it earlier, it was a photo of someone flipping a burger, and the AI tool made the burger like mush straight through the flipper, but then reform into a burger again. And I was like, no, that's not how food works.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely feel like AI is a tool, but it's not a substitution. We pretty much use AI for helping with writing elements, but I think we definitely don't step across the line of using AI to generate images, specifically of livestock, animals, people, and food. And I definitely feel like an imperfect photo that you take on your iPhone totally beats like a more quote unquote perfect AI image. And kind of going back to what we were just discussing about authenticity and connection, that's so important to social media. And I really think AI generated images take out all of the authenticity and connectability. And I think something else to mention is when we talk about social media, we often don't use the word perfection, because in a lot of cases, perfection doesn't work on social media. Again, going back to this idea of authenticity, there's nothing perfect about authenticity. And so, yeah, definitely agree. AI generated images are definitely out for 2026. I'm a big proponent for just pulling out the smartphone in your back pocket and creating your own images.
I totally agree. Now, like I said, by 2027, AI is moving so fast. Things might be different by then. You know what I mean? But for now, I think a lot of people can see poorly done AI. Going back to how you and I use AI, I do think that using AI to make you more efficient, using AI to help you with your marketing is in for 2026, excluding the images and the graphics. So things that you and I, we joke that ChatGPT is our coworker, right? But things that we use it for on a regular basis are like brainstorming ideas. Give me a list of 10 ideas for blog posts for January that are related to meat and health, And then we might take those titles and build out the blog posts. A lot of times what I do is I like to draft content. So we're working on some new pages on ChopLocal University's website right now. And I write out my text and basically what I want it to say. And then I plop it into ChatGPT and say, give me your feedback or help me edit this to make it more clear or to make it shorter or something like that. So there's definitely ways to use AI. Don't rely on it completely. And we need to do a whole nother episode about using AI, but prompting it is so important. The way that you prompt it. A lot of times AI text that comes out uses a lot of big flowery words, and those are like right away, if you put a social media caption that says experience the exquisite delight of our, and I'm like, oh, exquisite delight, and those are AI phrases to me right off the bat, and it loses that authenticity right away. So
Yeah, you definitely don't want to publish anything that screams AI, and there are definitely certain indicators of that, especially since we've had ChatGPT for a few years. Using an obnoxious amount of emojis and captions is a pretty big indicator of AI. Even using the M dash, which as a copywriter kind of makes me sad because I like to use M dashes.
I like the M dash too. I mean, it's effective. That's one of the things we have to remember is that AI copied good writers. And one of the things when we hired you, Sierra, is that we were impressed by your writing. And so, of course, you used an M dash because that you were a good writer. But now AI sort of ruined that for some people. And if you don't know what the M dash is, you can just skip over this part of the conversation.
I still use the M dash, I'm not trying to retrain myself just because of AI, but like you, Katie, I really use AI to kind of like generate concepts or like build off of ideas that I already had or refine maybe some campaign pillars for certain months. Especially since we work remote, it's sometimes, like you said, fun to use AI as a coworker, just in the sense of brainstorming. But I never really copy anything word for word from AI. I kind of like just use it, like you said, as a prompt, and then I always make sure to edit it. And so I think that's the biggest mistake is not editing what ChatGPT gives you. You want to make sure that you make even just a small updates, make sure it matches your tone, what you would say, and then maybe take out any of those obnoxious words or emojis.
That actually leads in really well to the next point that I wanted to make. I run Meta and Google ads, but Meta specifically is Facebook and Instagram ads for a few different meat brands in addition to ChopLocal. And one of the tools that Meta has now is that you can put in your ad caption, they call it the primary text, and then it will create 5 different versions for you of that primary text. They are created by AI and you can approve them or you can edit them and include them as an option in your ads. One of the things that I continually am looking for and am editing out of those descriptions are phrasing or wording that disparages other farms or other meats. And so that is one that's on our out list. Disparaging other farms or companies, using fear-mongering in our marketing. I know that there are brands that are doing that, but that's just something you and I have worked with a variety of farmers across the country that use different production practices. And I think it's really important to not confuse consumers, not scare them, and just, we want people to buy meat and we want them to buy local meat. We don't want them to be afraid to eat meat for whatever reason. So.
Exactly. And I think it's not that effective with your customers anyways to talk bad about a different brand. And I think there are way more better ways to build trust with your customers and ultimately get conversions. And so, yep, that's definitely out for 2026.
Which that loops back perfectly to what we were talking about, authenticity. Like, I always encourage people, instead of saying, oh, grocery store ground beef is bad or whatever, talk about what's great about your ground beef. Maybe it's that you supervised the process from the day that calf was born until it was processed. That's fine. You can say that without putting down other farms. You can talk about the regenerative practices that you use on your farm. You don't have to say that our farm is more sustainable or that other farms are, ruining the environment. You can just talk about the positive things on your farm or ranch or your butcher shop. Show the behind the scenes. And like you said, you're going to build trust, get conversions, get people to buy without being negative. So there's enough negativity and fighting on social media and on the internet right now already. Let's not bring local foods into the equation, right?
100%. Yep.
All right. So another piece that I'm seeing, and you and I are of different generations. We've discussed this. And as a woman in my 40s, I see a lot of buzz about health supplements, different things that can help us as we age. One of those things is protein. Protein is huge, especially more and more Americans are going to be using the GLP-1 medications this year. And we already saw last year that people using GLP-1 medications are looking for lean proteins. So I think that that's going to continue. But there's a lot of buzz around the importance of protein as you age. And so you and I have been talking about how we can encourage people to get that protein through meat versus through a supplement or a powder or something like that.
I think like the best part about meat is that it's delicious. I'm much more excited about eating even just like a hamburger on a salad than I would a protein shake. That's just me personally. I don't know how other people feel about that. But yeah, if you are wanting to add more protein to your diet, I think meat is just a very easy way to do that. And it makes for arguably a better eating experience. And there's so many other benefits to eating meat. There's so many other vitamins, iron, zinc. I mean, we can just go on and on.
Yeah. So like iron, obviously, there's a lot of people, especially women, who are not getting enough iron or need help with it. And so when we can talk about the benefits of red meat for that versus taking an iron supplement. The other thing, as I was doing some research, is zinc. Beef in particular is a great source of zinc. And I apologize that I don't know the protein. I don't know the nutritional profiles of the other proteins quite as well, because in my previous job, I worked at the Iowa Cattlemen's Association. The Iowa Beef Industry Council was in the same building, and they were always talking about how beef gives you zinc, iron, and protein. But zinc is really important for the immune system, and it is, we are having a terrible flu season right now. This is one of the natural ways that you can boost your immune system is by making sure that you have enough zinc. And then the other supplement that I'm seeing that's really popular, again, with women my age, is collagen for your skin. Collagen comes from meat, and it comes from the cuts that have a lot of connective tissue. A lot of those are like roasts in beef, short ribs, oxtail, those types of cuts that you would slow roast or braise. Brisket is a great one. I'm sure, again, with the other proteins like pork and lamb, it's probably those similar cuts like that again have a lot of collagen. But it's great not only for your skin, but also for your joints and for your own connective tissue. So I think, again, if we want to stay positive about meat, like, we have a great opportunity right now with people being so obsessed with protein. Let's show them why meat is the best way to get that protein.
As you listed several examples, there are so many talking points that I feel like our audience that have meat businesses can be infusing in their social media, email marketing, and then just talking to their customers in general. And that does definitely, protein seems to be a hot topic this time of year. And so that is a big part of ChopLocal's marketing pillars for the next month or two. But really, we talked about, should be a talking point throughout the year, because as you said, these are really strong health benefits that are really great marketing messaging points.
One of my favorite little tidbits, this is like one of my fun facts that I forgot to share related to this, is that loin means lean. So any cuts that have the word loin in them are going to be leaner cuts, which is a great way for you to push like sirloin steak or things that maybe it's not like the most popular steak, but it's a great cut. And if people are focusing on lean proteins, like we talked about with GLP-1s, or this time of year when people are trying to get their diet back on track, cuts that have the word loin or cuts that have the word round in them are typically really lean cuts. So great. Again, let's focus on the positive and share why we love meat. Right along with that, Sierra, you've been doing a lot of cooking content for ChopLocal, and I love your cooking content. Every time that I watch one of your videos, it makes me hungry and it inspires me to want to go and cook what you are making. And I think that is a really good, it's been fantastic. And I have people like at my family's Thanksgiving that are like, are you doing the cooking videos? And I'm like, no, that's Sierra. She's amazing. Like other people are noticing it and asking me too. But I think showing them how to cook meat in really simple ways. Like we do not have to make a beef Wellington here in order to impress people. Do something that is simple that they can do that can help them make it just as easy as a protein shake, right? What can we do to make it so simple for them to eat more meat? And I think you'll agree, you don't have to do a fully edited cooking video the way that you do in order to make this happen. People can just take a picture, post quick instructions. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Definitely, because I'm a social media specialist, I kind of like to go all out in the sense of doing different clips of every step of the process, as well as high quality photos to go along with it, but that really isn't necessary. So a little background: growing up, my dad and some of his friends had a beef business, and I remember back then when I didn't know anything about social media marketing, my dad would always at dinner be taking like iPhone pictures of the plates, or my dad's so good at like smoking meat and grilling meat, and he would be taking pictures of that and putting it on social media. And I think that's really important to show like how to use the meats that you're selling. And for me, like one of the overarching just marketing ideas that I try to instill is that we're not only selling local meat, I think we're also inspiring people to cook more at home, because you're not going to buy our product as we're selling frozen meats if you're not going to cook at home. And so, unlike my dad, I'm not great at like smoking meat and grilling. I do grill, but I'm not like a hardcore smoking, grilling person. And so a lot of my cooking content is simple recipes, and I do think that has gained traction. I certainly want to challenge myself to do like more, not complicated, but I keep saying like smoking meat. We just got a sous vide for Christmas, so maybe I'll do a video about that.
That's super interesting. So I've never used one, but like I do think it's kind of fascinating. So
yeah, but I will say like in general, you don't have to your point, have to do like super difficult recipes or go all out on videoing step by step of a meal you're making. It can be like a simple photo or just like a few simple video clips of you seasoning the meat, grilling the meat, putting it in the oven, that type of thing.
that's one of the things, we sometimes we hear from farmers and butchers like their prices are higher than grocery store meat. So how do they justify that and that sort of thing? Well, if your buyer knows that they're going to have a fantastic eating experience at home and it's going to keep them from eating out, then it makes sense for them to buy your meat. I mean, I think of how many farmers, ranchers, butchers I know that will not buy a steak at a restaurant. Why would I pay, 3 to 4 times to get a steak at a restaurant when I can grill a steak that is going to be better quality at home and have a fantastic experience every time? And so that's something that I think we can think about too as we're showing them how to cook, is that you can have this amazing experience and it's going to be 100% worth the time, effort, and dollars that you put into it when you buy your local meat. So yeah, I love that idea of inspiring people. So.
Yeah. And just one last thing I'll quickly add to that. I think it's also like sharing recipes is a great way to move maybe less popular cuts of meat, maybe round steak or maybe a roast or maybe like ground beef, like just showing people like simple ways to use these less popular cuts, less sexy cuts, if you will. And that, I think we get asked that a lot, is like, how do we move ground beef? That is, a strategy you can try to use.
Totally agree. And the other thing, when you started to say move, I thought you were going to say move your customers to trust you more, because I think, again, showing recipes that you are cooking in your own home or ideas that sound good to your family is, again, a way to build trust and authenticity. My middle son just started his first day of second semester of freshman year of high school yesterday. And he is taking foods class, a cooking class, because that's what fit in his schedule. And I was a little bit like, I don't know how this is going to go. But he came home and he was so excited because the first assignment was to talk about a food that means the most to you. And he talked about his great grandma's banana bread recipe, which she used to always make for him when she was alive, and now we still make it. And I was just thinking, as you were talking about showing them recipe ideas, is like, that is a way to connect with your family, because food does mean so much to us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a sweet moment yesterday. All right. Next thing in is providing exceptional customer service. This seems like it should go without saying, and so maybe we need to specify what this looks like, because you and I, coming off the holiday season, would get a lot of questions from ChopLocal customers saying, where is my meat? I don't know when it's shipping. I haven't heard from this farmer for my delivery. Basically, they just needed more information and needed to hear from their farmers. These customers needed customer service. That's why it's called customer service, right?
I definitely think that for our customers, especially around the holiday season, but I mean, it could be any time of the year, they are really banking on getting this meat for Christmas dinner or maybe someone's birthday dinner. And so a lot of the times when customers are asking like, oh my gosh, I need a tracking number, like when is this going to get here? It's usually because, they have their own worry and stress, and they want a meal to come together. And we all know how stressful that can be, especially those big meals. I think, as ranchers, farmers, butcher shops that are selling meat, it's important that we're able to provide that information in a prompt manner.
The value of reaching out to your customers and giving them more information. I know farms that are selling a lot of meat online, and they are still reaching out to every single customer and saying, thank you for your order. Here's when it will ship. It doesn't take very long. And so I think if you are a farm that's not selling a ton online, you should make the time to do this, okay? Take the time to send a message to your customer and send them an update about the order. That just goes a long ways, especially if there's going to be any sort of a delay or anything different with the order. Send them a message, get in contact with them. So important. I was looking at data from the whole year, 2025, last year, and we looked at the customers that purchased from ChopLocal. And customers who purchased only one time, their average purchase was about $130 for that order. So that is what you would consider their lifetime value, is $130. But customers that purchased more than once during the year of 2025, their average lifetime value, and when I say lifetime, it's really only their annual value, because it was it was just for the year. They may have purchased in 2024 and they may purchase again in 2026. But their value for the year, they spent around $450. So you've got a customer who spends $130, or if you get them to come back for the second, third, fourth time, they're going to spend closer to $500. And so if I were a farmer, butcher, rancher, if I were a small meat business selling online, I would be thinking, what can I do that doesn't even cost anything to get these people to come back again? And it could be a quick handwritten note in the box. It could be, a message to them when they order to give them an update on when it will be coming. It could be a thank you message after it's been delivered. But really, that is such an effective marketing strategy. You don't think about customer service as marketing, but when you see those numbers, it really is.
Yeah, and I love that you said that it's free, because you're totally right. And We've been talking about building trust through other marketing initiatives, but customer service is an excellent and incredibly effective way to build trust. I know there's been a few times that I've ordered from our vendors on ChopLocal, and a few of them do include a handwritten note, and I love it from a customer or consumer side. It definitely makes me feel seen as a customer, and it has an effect.
And I love too, like when I get a box from a vendor, because I order from our vendors too, like when you get a box and it's well wrapped and it's well taped and you can tell that they put care into it versus I've ordered online before and the box has come, we had an order from Walmart the other day that came and the box was like all, had come untaped, was barely held together. And I was like, is all my stuff in here? And I actually had that happen once with a meat company too, where they had only put one piece of tape on the box and I got it and I was like, whoa, I cannot believe that this actually made it to me. So taking care, putting in that handwritten note, sending those messages, checking in to see how everything tasted and if everything was great, like those are all ways that you can, free ways. Yes, you can send them a pot holder too if you want to, or you can put a koozie in the box too, but you don't have to do that. You can still make a great impression on them and encourage them to come back. The next one on the list, trending for 2026, I have to say, Sierra, we talk about this topic a lot, okay? And we've put out podcast episodes about this topic, and we've done little courses about this topic. When I was looking at our podcast data the other day, your podcast episodes about social media had a lot more listens than this episode that I'm teasing right now. There were not nearly as many people who listened to the podcast episodes about this topic that I'm going to say in a second. And I think that is really unfortunate because you and I just talked the other day about how we feel like social media is not as effective as, drumroll, email marketing. People, you need to be doing email marketing, okay? It's not to say that you shouldn't do social media, but if you are going to put more time into your marketing this year, I would say don't put more time into social media. Put the time into email marketing. Do you agree?
Well, the data doesn't lie. Email marketing is so effective across the board for conversion rates, I think for any e-commerce brand. So yes, I think email marketing may serve a bit of a different purpose, but if you were talking about conversion rates, email marketing is so much more effective. For me, like social media is more about like awareness and like building trust and connecting with your customers, but email marketing is definitely kind of more about putting your salesman hat on and getting conversion rates. And I definitely think when we're talking about digital marketing specifically, you've got to be doing email marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I have for this bullet point here. For 2026, spend more time on your email marketing. I was going to say, I know it's intimidating, but I don't know what holds people back from it. It can be intimidating. It's a little bit more hidden in that you see, well, these popular brands, I see them doing their social media marketing. It's more visible. But unless you're on their email list, you don't realize that they're doing all this email marketing behind the scenes as well. And so maybe that's a tip, is get on some email lists for meat brands and see what they are doing. And you will see how often they are sending out emails and that sort of thing. But as you said, the data does not lie. We have seen it over and over for our ChopLocal vendors, for our marketing clients. Like, email pays off every single time.
I think maybe sometimes small businesses' hesitation to jumping into email marketing is, like as customers, we're all customers to something, and we probably all have inboxes flooded with spam or, other brands that are sending out email marketing or marketing emails. And so I think sometimes small business owners are timid to like really put on their salesman hat and sell. But I would just encourage you to kind of shake that feeling. Every other brand is doing it. And as we said, the data doesn't lie. And I guess another tidbit we can put in here is we really like MailChimp. And so if you're kind of for a platform to start, I feel like it's very user friendly. I didn't use MailChimp until I started working for ChopLocal, and it was really easy for me to pick up. And so I would certainly direct our audience there if they haven't done email marketing before.
And if you're still intimidated, because not everything is easy for everybody, right? We can help you get your MailChimp set up and get it started. We can help you with email ideas. We can even do your email marketing for you. We offer that as a service. And that's one of the reasons we get to see this data and know how well it works, right? The other thing I was thinking as you were talking is, yes, I hear that all the time. I never open emails. And I'm the same way. My personal email is like a wasteland of marketing emails. But guess what? I signed up for those marketing emails for a reason, and I have not unsubscribed for a reason. And there are brands that when they come through, I'm like, oh, I need to check that one. That's our goal, is to be one of those brands that they're like, yes, I do want to read this one. I might ignore Old Navy's emails until I need a coupon. That's why I stay on a lot of the lists, right? But there are brands that I open up every single time to see what's new, to see what the deals are, and that sort of thing.
Well, not to continue going on this topic, but you just brought up another excellent point, that if you put time into building your email list, when it comes time to run a sale, then it's going to be so much easier to send that sale information or promotion to your email list. I mean, for those reasons, it's good to, even if you don't maybe get conversion rates from like your other emails, but you are staying consistent, you're building your list, and then comes time for your promotion, or you need to move some meat, so you're like discounting it, that email list is so valuable.
Yeah, so like examples that we do at ChopLocal, or that I should say you do, because you've taken this over, Sierra, is you like to post, again, the recipe ideas and the inspiration to get people to cook at home. You'll put those in an email newsletter, and those emails may not generate a ton of sales, but they are hopefully inspiring people, and they're building trust and making our emails something that people do want to open, because hopefully it leaves them with inspiration to cook and to feel good about the meat that they're eating. But then when we run a big sale or promotion, like we did our Black Friday sale or our Labor Day sale before that, they are primed, they trust us, they know that we are a great source of information, and when we send them a coupon or we tell them that something's on sale, they're going to open that email and they're going to make their big purchases. And it doesn't have to be sales and promotions either. I would say one email tactic or one kind of message in an email that I love is restocked. Just when something, especially for our smaller farmers, when, your premium cuts go out of stock and you've restocked them, like that's a great time to send out an email and remind people that now's your chance. It gives them the same sense of urgency to buy it before it goes out of stock again that they might have when there's a sale or promotion.
There are really endless ideas to employ email marketing, so definitely do it.
We love email, like we've said, and it's like instant gratification when you have a list that is a healthy list that's been primed and you're doing your email marketing well. If you're not getting instant gratification, meaning that you're not getting orders from the emails that you send us a message. We'll help you dig into it and see what could be causing that. All right. Last thing I think on my list is really for brands that are scaling and want to grow. These are for brands that have more production capacity. Maybe you've got more cattle than what you're selling direct to consumer and you've had to send some of them to the sale barn and you want to grow. Maybe you're a butcher shop that really wants to expand your footprint online. The last year, maybe more like 10 months, I would say, I've been a lot more active in Meta ads and Google ads. Meta being Facebook and Instagram, Google being Google, obviously, right? But especially the last few months, I have seen a lot of success in using these ads. This is not the same as boosting a post on Meta or on Facebook, but really running targeted ad campaigns I've really seen have a great ROI for meat brands. And so that is something that if you have the budget to put behind it, I would say you need a minimum of $1,000 budget to put behind it each month. And it's going to take a few months before it really takes off. And I say a few, 2 to 3 is usually about average for what I've seen. But at that point, you should be making back that $1,000 more and be able to continue to invest in ads to grow your business. And so this is something that, unfortunately, organic social media continues to seem to decline in effectiveness. The ads are, I think, becoming very effective. That is partly because of the AI tools and the algorithm changes where Facebook really prioritizes putting your ads in front of the right people because they need you to continue to advertise. And if you have success, you're going to continue to invest in their platform. And so unlike organic social, where they don't make any money off of you, they seem to be doing a better job with their advertising platform.
Yeah, it's really crazy how much Facebook ads and Google ads have really upped their technology and being able to target very specific audiences. And from my perspective, sometimes it feels a little complicated whenever you get into Facebook ads. But like you said, it's super effective, specifically for folks that want to scale their customer base and their sales. It's a very, very important piece of the digital marketing puzzle.
I do agree that it can be complicated. It's for most people, it is not a do-it-yourself marketing task. Like almost everything else that we've talked about here, maybe with the exception of email marketing, is something that anybody can do. You know, these are things that you can learn how to do yourself. And you can learn how to do Meta and Google ads yourself too. But like you said, there's more technology involved, making sure that all of your platforms are talking to each other. I remember one day this fall, we were working on ads for ChopLocal University. And you and Sydney were working on creatives and a lead magnet. And I spent 4 hours just making sure Facebook was talking to the website and was talking to the form that we were filling out, and that all of that data was flowing back and forth seamlessly. So yeah, it's a little bit of a different skill set, but it can be really effective. And that is something that, because it's a different skill set, something that we are offering now as a service and hoping to expand here in 2026 as well. And so if you are ready to take that step and need some help with it, and it pairs really well with the email management because you can have some of the same messages, the same graphics, and those sort of things, we definitely encourage you to reach out because we'd love to help you out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the Facebook and Google ads, you can skip that trial and error, knowing that you're going to have to put money behind ads that may or may not work. Whereas Katie has spent years doing this for a variety of different meat businesses, and it definitely makes a difference.
That's one of the things that I think is really unique about you and I being able to work with all of the farms and butcher shops we work with on ChopLocal, as well as our done-for-you marketing clients, is that instead of testing out an idea or a message with one company and one audience and then seeing if it works or not, we get all of this data from dozens of companies throughout the year so that we can look at it and say, oh, this is what's working really well for them and this is not working so well for them. And these are the attributes of the farms that are selling really well, and these are the attributes of the farms that aren't selling so well, you know? It's fascinating. I think that you probably find the same thing. Like, it's really interesting to see that. But it also has really helped us, give us a leg up at learning things more quickly about what is working and what is not.
Yeah, definitely. I think we really pride ourselves on being very niche and knowing the meat business, specifically direct to consumer, because like you said, we get to work with fantastic farmers, ranchers, butcher shops across the country, and that I really feel like positions ourselves to not only be experts when it comes to these different marketing strategies that we talked about, but specifically in the meat industry.
So those were our ins and outs for 2026. I think we've covered everything that's been on my mind lately, but I'm sure something else will come up. I think we're going to have to just keep talking about email marketing, Sierra. We're just going to have to convince people. I really think that is the missing link in a lot of farms, in their marketing.
Absolutely. Download MailChimp.
That's right. Get started with it. There's videos to help you get started. We have videos to help you on our YouTube channel. And also we're always happy to do a half-hour free consultation to find out if there are quick wins, if there are ideas that we can help you out with real quick and say, yep, make some changes to your social media. I think that would be great, or here are some ideas for your email marketing that would make it more clear or more effective. Always happy to do that half-hour free consultation. And if there's a way that you want to work with ChopLocal on an official basis by selling on the marketplace or by hiring us to do some of your marketing for you, we can help kind of uncover and see if that would be a good fit for you as well. One more thing I want to say before we go is December 4th, I don't remember the episode number, but I think it was in December, we published an episode with Stephen Ussery talking about the value-added producer grant. USDA has said that is going to open up January 15th, and then applications will be due April 15th. So go back to that episode and listen to that. We also have, I think, 3 YouTube videos with Stephen talking about the value-added producer grant. I always forget if it's $250,000 or $500,000. I think it's up to $250,000 for 3 years. You can use it for your marketing. You can use it for your processing expenses. It is really meant for farms and ranches to help them grow their businesses. So be sure to take a look at that. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will be back next week. I have an interview lined up with one of my marketing clients who I said has a big personality, does a great job of being authentic, and I'm really excited for that.
All right. Well, thanks for having me today, Katie.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Meat Success. We hope this episode gave you fresh insights and inspiration to beef up your meat marketing. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, follow us on social, and share with your fellow farmers and butchers. Have questions or ideas for future podcasts? Reach out to ChopLocalUniversity.com. Until next time, remember, there's more than one recipe for meat success.